Welcome. My name is Merle Whitney. In this tutorial, we are going to be taking a look at clustered application settings. Windows Server 2012 has options that will allow the administrator to fine-tune the failover process. If you are hosting a cluster that has multiple applications, it may be important to set specific nodes to be primarily responsible for each clustered application. Now, to set a preferred node and an order of preference, we have to click on the General tab of that clustered application. As you can see here, we have the application that is in use. The server is using the first application. Then you have server B and server C. If you need the first server to fail over to the second one, then the second server, which is node B here, has to be second in the list. If you wanted the application to fail over to node C, then node C would be the one that was second in the list. In other words, the nodes should be listed in the order in which you want them to fail over. We also have a number of failover settings that can be configured for the clustered service. If we click on the failover tab, we will see the settings here on the screen, and we're looking at the maximum failures in the specified period. Now, specifying the maximum failures will keep the application from trying to restart until it is manually brought back online after the problem has been resolved. This is beneficial because if the application continues to be brought online and then fails, it may show as being functional to the monitoring system even though it continues to fail. Then below we have the failback settings. And failback settings control whether or not and when a clustered application would fail back to the preferred clustered node once it becomes available. If you remember, in the previous slide, we looked at the order of failback. Let's go back and take a look. We were able to move the nodes up and down depending on the order in which we wanted the failback to occur. Now here, we have some options. Prevent failback is the default option. However, if you click Allow Failback, you see that you have two options below that. If failback is allowed, the two additional options will be available. And it's either to fail back immediately after the preferred node is available or to fail back within a specified time. Let's say that we wanted to allow failback between 10 p.m. and 11 p.m. Then we would set the failback time to be between 22 and 23, as you can see here. Setting a failback time to off hours is a very good way to ensure that your clustered applications are running on the designated nodes and automatically scheduling the failover process for a time when it will impact the fewest users. We have another tool that is available. It is referred to as the Dependency Viewer. The Dependency Viewer's job is to visualize the dependency hierarchy created for an application or a service. When you use this tool, it can help you troubleshoot why specific resources are causing failures and allow the administrator to visualize the current configuration better and adjust to meet the business needs. Now, to access a dependency viewer, what we want to do is to click on the application resource, come to more actions, and here you can see show dependency report. When you click on show dependency report, a dependency report comes up showing you the dependencies that are available for that particular cluster application. We also want to take a look at resource properties for the clustered application. Now, resources are physical or logical objects, such as a file share or an IP address. Like clustered applications, resources have a number of properties, as you can see here, that are available for meeting business requirements for high availability. So here we want to look at the resource dependency. We have available general dependencies policies and advanced policy. The policies are important here to us. Policies are settings that control how the resources respond when a failure occurs and how resources are monitored for failures. Let's look at the different settings of the policy tab. Let's start with if resource fails, do not restart. This option, as it would lead you to believe, leaves the failed resource online. The second option, if resource fails, attempt restart on current node. With this option set, the resource tries to restart. If it fails on the node on which it's currently running. Then we have two additional options if this is selected, and we use this so that the number of restarts can be limited. We see here we have the time. These options set the time, the number of times the resource should restart on the current node in a specified length of time. For example, if we specified 5 maximum restarts, let's say we had 5 here instead of 1, and we said that we wanted 5 maximum restarts in the specified period, and let's say that we put the specified period to 10 maybe, for the period for the restart. What will happen is that the cluster will try to restart the resource 5 times during that 10-minute period. After the 5th restart, the cluster service will no longer attempt to restart the service on the active node. Then we have the option below that which says, if restart is unsuccessful, fail over all resources in this clustered role. If we select this option, as you can see it's selected here, when the cluster service is no longer trying to restart the resource on the active node, it will fail the entire service or application to another cluster. Let's look at the last option under the setting response to resource failure. That says, if all the restart attempts fail, begin restarting again after the specified period. If we select this option, the cluster service will restart the resource at a specified interval if all previous attempts have failed. Below the section here, we also have an option for pending timeout. This option is used to set the amount of time in minutes and seconds that the cluster service should wait for resources to respond to a change in states. If a resource takes longer than the cluster expects to change states, the cluster will mark it as having failed. Let's look now at advanced policies. For advanced policies, we have some different options. The options available on the advanced policies are as follows. We have possible owners. This option will allow an administrator to remove specific cluster nodes from running within this resource. Using this option is valuable when there are issues with a resource or a particular node and the administrator wants to keep the application from failing over to that node until the problem can be repaired. Then we have another option, basic resource health check interval. This option allows an administrator to customize the health check interval for this resource. Below that, we have thorough resource health check interval. This option allows an administrator to customize the thorough health check interval for this resource. Then, lastly, we have run this resource. If the resource needs to be debugged by a support engineer, or if the resource conflicts with other resources, this option may need to be used. This is the end of this tutorial.